Another night, another dream, but always you. It's like a vision of love that seems to be true. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa!
What the hell was that? I feel like I was just transported back to 1995 when Real McCoy was still a thing. But the lyrics ring strangely true in this case because it's time for the second dream. Man, I kind of feel like we should get some Freddy Krueger references going on in this too, right?
Sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.
Is there gonna be a final nightmare? Oh, I hope not. But probably. Okay. I've had enough fun for now. But it's time for the second visit from that hunky dream lover, and I'm totally ready for it. This dream occurred after killing the goblin leaders and rescuing Halsin for me. Also, if you missed the first video, you should definitely go back and watch it. There is a playlist available too where you can watch the whole thing in order as I release these episodes. Check the links on the screen when they flash up, and for those of you who are already caught up, let's head to Dreamland.
I promised I'd be back. Don't worry. I have things under control. For now. You haven't been using the parasite's power. You think you don't need it. But things haven't gone as you expected. You hoped a druid as powerful as Halsin might be able to remove your tadpole. But he couldn't. You're desperate to be rid of it. Understandable. But you're looking for solutions in the wrong places. Your parasite is unusual. It is wrapped in magic that prevents its removal. Until the source of the tadpole's magic is destroyed, any attempt to remove it will kill you. You were lucky that Halsin knew this. His instincts are right. The parasites were merely a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun. From transforming to a mind flayer? Yes. But that is not the only thing these parasites can do. They are vessels for control. The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god. That is how the cult of the Absolute is spreading. The highest of their rank, the true souls, carry a tadpole just like yours. It is how they receive their orders. It is what makes them obey. When the order to transform is given, it will not be a matter of days. They will be mind flayers in an instant. Were it not for my protection, so would you. It's complicated, but I'm an adventurer. Just like you. Just like you, I was infected with a mind flayer parasite. Just like you, I seek to be free of it. I've been trying to escape from this evil for a long time. Once, I almost succeeded. Now, through you, I've been given a new chance. You can go where I cannot, and I can protect you from that evil. If we work together, we may turn this around. Hells. They need me. I have to go. The power I used to protect you, I stole it from someone. They want it back. I will hold them off for as long as I can, but sooner or later I will be worn down. You must discover the source of the magic that controls the parasites before that happens. The cultists are gathering at Moonrise Towers. Use the powers your parasite gives you to convince them you are one of them. And when you find the source of their magic, destroy it. Go. Our freedom depends on it.
We awake in the strange land that the dream lover inhabits. It almost looks like being on the moon or somewhere in space at least. But regardless of where we are, my guy is not happy that I haven't been making use of the parasite's powers. Now, little confession here, I didn't watch the last panel from Hell mostly because I didn't want spoilers, so I knew nothing about the brain powers, which people told me about afterwards that they were actually on the panel. I didn't even notice the little icon that shows how many tadpoles you have available, but after the scene, I actually found it for the first time and started using them. Whoops. So I was confused, like, why the heck is he saying I'm not using my powers when I use Illithid Wisdom all the time? I'm actually really wanting to know now if he has alternate dialogue here if you use the powers, but I'll have to save that for another game, I guess. So he comments on how Halsin wasn't able to save you and that you've grown desperate looking in all the wrong places for answers. There were a ton of choices here too, but since I was trying to play my game in an agreeable manner towards the dream lover, I just asked what I should be doing instead. Then he starts talking about how the tadpole is unusual, wrapped in magic that prevents it from being removed, that we can't remove it until that magic is destroyed or else it will kill us. I have a sneaking suspicion, and at this point I have not gotten that far into Act 3, so I have no idea how it ends, but I'm betting there is no coming back from the tadpole. That is just my hunch, though. I mean, if the magic is destroyed, then we'll turn into mind flayers. And has there ever been a precedent for actually removing a tadpole from a host? I guess it could be possible to kill the tadpole with a blow to the head or something, but it just doesn't seem like there's an optimistic outcome for Tav and Party here. Still, this guy seems to know an awful lot about the specific situation I'm in, which is why it's my belief that the dream lover might be in the best position to help you. I guess we'll find out if my hunch is correct or not once I finish the game, and for those of you who already know the outcome, just humor me and don't leave spoiler comments. Getting back on track again, what's confusing here is when he says that the parasites are a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun, and I guess this goes back to the original dream where he spoke of a battle for Faerun, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There were a ton of good options here to pick, but I thought I would appeal to his guardian aspect and remind him of his promise to protect me. He says he can protect me from turning into a mind flayer, sure, but that the parasites do more than just that. They're also used to control their victims, or in some cases for the victims to control others, just as my Tav did, using Illithid Wisdom to get her way when she could. But now we're actually getting somewhere when he says the infected think the Absolute is a god, which we've already seen proof of in the Goblin Camp. And even more interesting is that apparently these true souls, ones we've already encountered like Minthara and Priestess Gut, are all receiving orders directly from the Absolute, and they're all ticking Mind Flayer time bombs ready to be deployed at any moment. I hadn't even considered up to this point that they could even transform, given the fact that we haven't seen a single mind flayer save the ones on the Nautiloid in the beginning. And technically, we could change too, if not for the dream lover who is somehow protecting us from that transformation. But I can't help but wonder, when given the opportunity to ask, just who are you? How do you know all of this? Why are you even helping me? But then he told me that he used to be an adventurer just like me. That was until he took an arrow to the knee.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Sorry, that one just lined up perfectly. But in all seriousness, it's very strange to hear him say he'd also been infected with a tadpole and that he wants to be free of it. I'm so confused by all of this, honestly, and it doesn't make much sense at all. Like, why does he seem to be trapped here? He talks about how he's been trying to escape this evil and almost succeeded, but obviously didn't, and how he can now do it through my Tav, because I can go where he cannot, and he can protect me from that evil? God, he's talking so cryptically. I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. Does he mean the tadpole is the evil? And why can't he go where I can? Is he even alive? Or perhaps some being that's been trapped to another plane of existence? It's funny too, because my friend Mizu mentioned a suggestion to me when I was first freaking out about these new dreams. It was right after I saw this exact scene though, and she said it was her thought that the dream lover was actually in the artifact, the one that Shadowheart has. She said if Shadowheart had fallen not far from you down the beach, that he could have easily stopped you from falling with that close proximity. I do think it's a good possibility, but it's also kind of weird. Like, how could the being be trapped in that funky little dice-looking artifact, but also be able to leave it to save me? I don't know. There's answers here that just lead to more questions, so I guess I'm stuck waiting until I find out more. Regardless of what's going on, he wants to work together, but then says he's needed and has to go. You know, I asked what was going on over there at Skull Rock, and he interestingly enough admits that the power he's using to protect me was stolen, and that the people he stole it from want it back. He says he'll hold them off for as long as he can, but that eventually he's going to wear out from the constant struggle, which makes me feel a bit apprehensive, you know, feeling that urgency that if he's to be beaten, then our time free of the Mind Flayer transformation will be over. Our only real tip at helping him is to go to Moonrise Towers, to pretend to be a true soul and sneak our way in, and then find the source of their magic and destroy it. Like, sure, babe, doesn't sound too complicated. He then tells you to go, and it's interesting to note here that he says our freedom depends on it, as though he started to count the two of you as a singular individual, or at least that you're close enough to be a we, or an R in this case. So this dream wasn't quite as exciting as the last, but it was still entirely new, and has answered some questions while creating new ones, like who did he steal the power from? What power exactly did he steal? Who was attacking him? Why does all of that have to do with Faerun? And the parasites? It's a tangled web the dream lover weaves, but it's also incredibly enthralling. All of this talk of we and our makes me feel closer to him, like it's not him trying to use me so much as a team working together. And honestly, I was going to head to Moonrise anyway, because literally everything we've encountered thus far in the game has been pushing us there. Even Halsin, who tells us that true souls were coming out of Moonrise. So for now, it's not too big of a stretch to just go along with him. It's not like I'm losing out on anything, you know? I think that's the big appeal of the dream lover. He's just convincing enough and not asking that much of you. Well, besides eating a chunky boy tadpole, that is, which was still pretty disgusting. But we did get powers, which have been super useful, and he has been protecting us from the influence of the Absolute all this time. Which actually makes me think back to that scene on the bridge. You know, the one right before you enter the goblin camp? The artifact jumps out and basically stops the projection of the Absolute into your party's mind. So I think Mizu might have actually been onto something here, because at that moment, something very obviously severed the connection, and if the dream lover has been taking credit for doing it, it doesn't seem likely that suddenly it would be someone else helping. So he must have something to do with that artifact, and think about how it even comes to you. Like, it actually leaves Shadowheart and comes right into your inventory. It really makes me think, though, that he's some kind of genie or entity that's trapped, you know? Why else can't he do things for himself? I guess we're gonna find out. This dream wasn't as romantically interesting, and I'm wondering if my romance is dead in its tracks, but I'm not giving up. I know what I want, and I'm going to get it. So keep an eye out for the next video where we talk more about the dream lover. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, as there is going to be a huge slew of new BG3 content coming out over the next few months, possibly years. I mean, there's a lot. Thanks to my Patreons for the support, and if you'd like to help support the channel too, and get access to the private Discord and a whole other chunk of content on Patreon, then head over and make a pledge. I'll see you guys later.